is going to be controversial.
That's a crunching right hand, and that must finish it. It must finish it.
Taylor trying to catch himself, using his jab. Eats a right hand, another right hand, and he goes down. Oh my goodness!
The dream is made real. Ricky Hatton rocks the world with a truly stunning win over a modern legend. He is the champion of the world.
Yo,
We're back.
Raps on TV. What's going on? Full team in the house. What's up,
Team.
people? Everybody, how you doing? Welcome. It's Raps on TV. It's a Tuesday evening. The year has started. Second show of the year, and we're back. Looking forward to discuss tonight's agenda. Pretty packed. It's been a relatively quiet weekend of boxing. Obviously, it's all overseas, but we're here. No further ado, I've got to announce and introduce the co-hosts. Here with Sam and Tom. What's going on, guys?
What's happening, people? What's happening?
How you feeling? Good weeks?
Feel good, man.
Been a good week?
Very good.
Since the last show?
Yeah, it's been a good week. So fairly quiet for boxing time. I was expecting the group to go a bit mad.
Yeah.
The chats and that, but I still see a few of you guys coming at me, trying to question my boxing IQ.
Everyone's going to question.
You can't
your
challenge
boxing.
his boxing IQ.
No,
That's what he's telling you.
You can. You just need to come down there and say your piece. You know?
Or pick up the phone,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
None of the trolling.
Exactly.
And Tom, how about you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. It's good to be back, and I was just echoing to see, you guys been putting in that graft lately, and it's been good to see. And I'm just
Team
gonna
effort.
pick it up where we left off, I suppose, before Christmas now. So.
Exactly. And I know you were happy this weekend. Guys, you know what? One of the things we're going to do is, rather than always dive into boxing, we'll try and find out what's going on in the week.
Ole,
So there's only one place to start. Who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy?
So McGregor, how did you feel about the McGregor performance? Were you excited to see him come back?
Do you know what? I paid for it. I got up at, I think it was 22 minutes
Oh,
past
you're
4
one of those
Sunday
ones.
morning. Yeah.
Oh.
And I thought, do you know what? I'll get up. What will I do? Will I make a cup of tea? What will I do?
Yeah.
Go downstairs, put on the box office for then to see the co-main event, Holly Holm, and then the main event for 40 seconds.
Yeah, that was.
But do you know what? I was happy because I paid for that pay-per-view knowing that it was going to generate excitement.
Mhm.
McGregor got the job done, phenomenal fashion. And, like people were saying before, boxing fans, UFC fans, any combat sports fans, McGregor looked like a different person. He looked focused. And it's just good to see, like any athlete out there, when they're focused, they put their mind to things, their potential is limitless. So.
And I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto it later on in the show, but we then saw the Mayweather post, Mayweather McGregor 2,
Attention seeker, man.
It is like, look, you know what? I gave him fight of the decade. I'm a big fan of him, but that's proper attention.
No, he
seeking. I'd even give it like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but you've got to wonder why, like, people questioning and don't really flourish under him. What other big star besides Tank have we seen under the Mayweather banner? Because he likes to be that guy up there. If you're not up there, if you're not above, if you're not underneath him, he doesn't want you to shine past him. He doesn't want you to see you blow up.
He's created that pedestal now where it's like even people on the Forbes lists, they're trying to even exceed his position,
That is true.
And he's set that benchmark.
For an athlete, it is very difficult to exceed that, though. He's
next level.
But yeah,
Al Heyman, man.
And but going back to McGregor, I think I saw the highlights. I didn't watch the fight because I was watching the Julian Williams fight and that finished early, so I went to bed. But yeah, I saw 40 seconds. I mean, look, I don't know the guy. I'll be honest, I'm not a big UFC fan anyway, so it doesn't mean much whether I knew him or not. But he got the job done, and he'd been out. I think he'd been out for over a year, and he hasn't won. They were saying for like a good 2 or 3 years. So I think, look, he's the big name in UFC. There's no doubt about that. Like you could see, you go online, all of a sudden his press
Look
conference.
at the spikes. Everyone was talking about UFC. There's no UFC without McGregor right now.
So, I mean, what was interesting as well, and I don't know if it was BT, but they invited some of the boxing outlets out there. So I know IFL were there, and then the US guys were covering that fight as well. So look, listen, fair play to him. He's a big name, and I think in this day and age, if you're a big name, you do numbers, people are gonna like gravitate to you, right? So,
and there is some comparisons, even like McGregor having that long layoff. They're saying 4 years when he had that run of championship wins, he got through them. And you see, like for Amir Khan, for example, after that Canelo fight, he had the layoff. So it's more of a judgment to see how good you are and how good you can get back to that certain level of competing at that elite stage, with big fights. Yeah, Poirier won a big opponent to hardcore boxing fans. For UFC, he's obviously done a lot for them, and etc. So you got to respect both guys. You got to respect the win. You've got to respect the fact that the company are trying to put on the best fights possible. And that's what we want to see. Like I said it before the year turned, I said we want to see 50-50 fights across all weight divisions. So it's
very unlikely. But
you know what I was thinking about? There's a lot of competition. There's
light heavyweight,
competitive fights. In general, I think we could see quite a few 50-50, not a load, but I think we could see quite a few.
Now. Is Eddie and Frank going to put their cash cows, their big stars, in their 50-50 fights?
Who's Frank's cash cow?
No,
I mean, we're digressing, but really, Eddie's cash cow, and I'm not even saying against Matchroom, is Joshua. Outside that. So I'm saying, so he would never put him in dangerous fights.
And that Dubois fight.
A lot of the other guys, I think he'll put them into. He does test them sometimes. Maybe Buatsi was the only guy I think they might put around in Cotton Wool, but I think a lot of the other guys they might smoke. I mean, look, he put Brook in with Triple G.
Okay. That wasn't even a one-off. That was for his damn selfish self of his own pocket, man. Forget that one. He did not. He did.
And that wasn't a 50-50 fight. But I'm just saying he has occasionally. But look, we're definitely digressing. So last weekend we saw Julian Williams take on Roserio for his 154 titles belts, IBF and WBC or WBA. But regardless, he was a hometown fight, and I don't know if those of you haven't seen the fight, he clearly lost.
He got
fifth
bullied.
round knockout, and he actually got bullied. And
bullied.
What's quite interesting in terms of a little bit of background between the two, they both lost to a guy called Nathan Gallimore. But actually, Rosario's fought as a middleweight, and I think you probably saw the difference on the night because it felt like every time he threw a punch at Williams weren't ready.
No.
Every time he threw a punch, you could just see Williams' legs. He was rocking back in his legs. I mean, what do you guys think of the performance in the fight overall?
Maybe I hate to always blame it on other things. Maybe there's other things we don't know, but that wasn't the full him coming into.
I mean, he did have surgery after the fight, but that was nearly a year. So he had surgery last year, June.
That's not even an excuse to be honest, because if he wasn't ready, he should have said he's not ready. But it was tough. Do you know what? He just got. But it was a bit disappointing to see. Yeah. You expect to see him put a bit more fight in there, but do you know what? It's just the explosive. It's just the explosion and the flurry of just shots being put together. He just couldn't handle it, and I think end of the day, he's fully deserved a TKO. And you know, we're looking forward to see what's next for him. Is he? Who's he under? Is it PBC?
Yeah, it's PBC. Yeah, it's PBC. Yeah. So I think they're going to enact the rematch clause. But yeah, what did you make?
But besides all that, like operation or whatnot, like his balance was all over the place. Williams, like, and I think as well when it went, like you touched on the aggression. That's something you need to. If you're a champion, you need to understand that, like aggression and guys that are wanting to be in your position, the challenger mentality, they're going to be bringing the heat to you from the off. So that's also Williams weren't able to negate that, and I think. I'm not really interested in a rematch if I'm being honest. Like I understand it's a clause, etc., contracts, but if you're beating in that fashion,
it wasn't competitive enough leading up to the loss. Like, the knockout that made you say, oh, you know what? It just came out of nowhere. Like, I feel for him. I like him. He's a good guy, but I agree with you. I'm not dying to see that. But that division now is just totally opened up that division, right?
We were speaking about it, weren't we? The other day, we were saying like 100. Look, at the end of the day. The likes of Hurd, Charlo, these guys, when they slip off, there's guys underneath them that are coming up. So the competition's, stealth.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, if a champion loses and you've got two mandatory challenges and you've got contenders, you've got to capitalize on that. You've got to push yourself forward and
100%
see what opportunities are out there.
And I think out of all of this, and I'll go back to your man Eddie Hearns.
It's not my man. Shout out to Eddie. You're not my man.
But I would say if he's Brook, I guess what I'm saying is Brook, because if Rosario keeps the title, I'm not saying Brook could beat this guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Hearn looks at him and thinks, you know what, this is a potential opportunity to get either a title shot or a title opportunity, because I would never have seen Brook going for Williams. Definitely not Jarrett Hurd. Definitely not Charlo.
Yeah.
Munguia has just relinquished his belt, so I think that might be vacant.
But what are they doing with this, like Brook coming back against a mediocre opponent? Like, he's got no time to waste here. Like, we're talking 154 pound, 147 is a long
gone. Abusing him, man. They're just abusing it. Like I said, look, even talking about even before I said earlier before we digressed, when you say I'm digressing, look what they're doing to Brook. Like, he's a little horse, man. He's a little slave. Like, look at the way they do. Like, as Barry Hearn said, he's a little slave.
Like, you know those Chinese balls that you have, and they pull off each other. It's like Khan's coming from one side, Brooks
Yeah.
Come
going from
on,
the other
he knew
side.
he was going to lose to Errol Spence. Actually, do you know what? Don't let me say that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because my uncle might jump on and be like, "Nope, you were saying that Brook was good," because I was brainwashed back then.
Yeah,
but
okay,
the Spence, I do feel sorry for him, but I think he's just nursing out his retirement. I think he's holding out for the Khan.
Yeah.
Whether Khan gives it to him or not is, because Khan is very financially stable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's going to be like, why am I going to give you satisfaction?
I think the thing is, and with that fight, and we are digressing, but I think with the Brook, Khan always comes up, and I just think they need to kind of settle it. But I do half feel I don't think Brook would definitely beat Khan, but I think Khan couldn't live with a loss as much as Brook could. I think Brook, if he lost to Khan, I think he could cope. He could get away. But I think if Khan lost to Brook, I think
he's taking that to the grave.
Yeah,
man.
I think he would be gutted. Like
but the thing is, the thing is, you got to understand that Brook has always been so jealous of Khan's career. He's always been so envious of everything Khan had, from the Olympic pedigree to the amateur pedigree to the sponsors to the whole limelight. Because Brook used to always feel like, okay, where are my opportunities? Brook's first break came when he beat Porter. That's when he was announced to the world, in a kind of I wouldn't say controversial. He deserved the win, but it could have gone anyway. It was one of those fights that could have gone anyway, especially the way both guys fight, especially on Porter's side. And then since then, he's kind of had a few fights here and there, kind of got himself, and the bigger one was obviously Triple G, which was a complete setup, because that was supposed to be, everyone knows that should have been Eubank Jr. in there. And Eddie thought, you know what, let me make a quick buck here and probably slash half the budget, and Kell will bite on that, because that's more than what he's ever got. So on that point, I just feel Brook's kind of been used and abused, and 2 eye sockets later, is it really worth all of that? 2 broken eye sockets?
I think as well that his mentality has been crushed from those 2 defeats.
100%.
Golovkin, Spence, like he's parted ways with Dominic Ingle, like a guy that's backed him from the start, and he's produced world class championship wins. Like you saw Saunders Lemieux, you got an array of talent in that gym. But Brook is, I just think, like, with the whole media backlash and stuff that Khan's faced over the years, I mean, his resume is undisputedly better than Brook's. I mean, no,
of course they don't. He doesn't deserve a seat at Khan's table.
No.
From not a fighting point of view, but in terms of quality of opponent, no way. But you got to see it. Brook's just trying to. He knows that him beating Khan holds way more value to him than Khan beating Brook. Because if Khan beats Brook now, it's like, okay, standard to me, you're supposed to, you're more than world class, you're elite level. But if Brook does it, it's like Brook's not going to shut up about that. That's going to be, that's
and his ego's going to,
and it's kind of like Khan's like, do I do it, or can I just have these one-off fights here, there in Saudi and whatnot? And
I mean, it's saying something when Khan's been invited out to MSG to fight Crawford, and Brook's not even in negotiations with these big fights. So
Crawford would tell him, go, because he doesn't drive numbers. Amir Khan, despite what you want to say, Amir Khan's in his early 30s and has been in the public eye for God knows how long, since the Olympics. And he's just got such a big following, especially his Asian community. I believe his Muslim community as well. He's got such a big backing and branding, and it's, I'm actually gonna be sad when I hear him say he's gonna retire. Because Amir Khan was like, since I've been growing up, no, it's not.
Can't be far.
A couple of fights away, man. Couple of fights.
It's all about the big payday. So go.
He's been a good servant, and you got to respect him for like all the stuff he does with the foundation and
100%,
stuff like that. But at the end of the day, these guys have been talking. They've built a narrative of this fight happening for so long. We saw Mayweather, Pacquiao, but these guys are on a different level in terms of numbers and reputation. Just get the fight on. If you're gonna look at the end of the day, what's a loss gonna do? It's not gonna kill you, is it?
For either of them that have already lost. But again, it's the
pride.
It's
the man pride.
If you think back to, and this is probably before your time, you think back to Ricky Hatton and Junior Witter. These guys, they would not. And Hatton was like, I'm not giving him a payday. So that's sometimes when it becomes so much of a grudge match, even if us as fans will demand it, they're not going to listen. They're just going to be like,
I remember Khan made a tweet or said something. He said, look, the very first house that I bought with my money is probably worth more. It probably adds up to the amount of paydays you've had. And to be honest, he's not actually lying. I don't think he's lying, because he sold that house for what, £2-3 million, and he bought it for 700 grand, something like that. So,
I mean, that's the money. But we're speaking about Khan, so we might as well move on to Mr. Danny Garcia.
I knew you were going to
is-
say that.
Yeah, why not? You know, he's fighting this weekend. He's taking on even Redkach. So let's do the essentials. Danny Garcia is 35 wins, 21 knockouts, 2 losses. Redkach is 23 wins and 4 losses. Obviously, it's taking place down in New York. Bit of a hometown fight for Garcia.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from Garcia? And I'll ask twofolds. One for the fight, but also for this year in general. You know, welterweight division is very stacked. You know, we don't even need to list the names and all the names that are just on PBC's side. So, I mean, how are you seeing this fight against Redkach, and what do you want to see from Danny Garcia in 2020?
I want to see a lot more. I want to see a lot more from Garcia this year. If he really wants to stamp his authority on that division, I want to see a boxing clinic on the weekend. I want to see him, you know, control the distance. I want to see him use his boxing skills a lot more, as opposed to getting engaged in an all-out war. He's probably going to want to do that to please the fans. But if you want to look good on the eye and you want to impress your fans, you need to show an array of skills. And I think he'll win on Saturday, and then he'll push on. And who knows, like, you know, Josh Taylor's signed now with Top Rank. So I don't know if that's good. Well, obviously the clashes and stuff, but I mean, a Porter rematch, is that could be a possibility.
No, definitely. I have to add to that. Like, Garcia is the man. I've always liked Garcia. I always like how he carries himself. I always like what he does for his community. And those guys that kind of wear their kind of hood and where they're from and their background and their story and their sleeves deserves to be commended in the sport. Yeah. He's been quite unlucky with his, not unlucky, but he's been kind of just beaten to the punch with his past couple with his losses. I don't count him out of the question. And I think if Danny Garcia wants motivation, we should look at Sean Porter, who's kind of had the losses and come back and gain titles. And he's two-time. He's correct?
Sean Porter was a two-time champion.
He's two-time champion. So those two can get it on. What I'm interested in seeing is his durability. I'm interested in understanding how well he's been kind of nurtured from his losses and what he's really learned from the losses, because he hasn't typically in his past fights. Was it with Thurman, I believe? Yeah, he wasn't. I felt he was the slower fighter, was the less busier fighter.
Just a bit slow,
Thurman, I'm interested to see if he'll take a bit of Sean Porter's kind of approach of just being, you know, in your face, in the pocket, aggressive, being dog hungry, really, you know, taking it to the punch and working for every second of the round. And that's what I want to see more of Garcia. But Garcia's style is more kind of slick, stylish. But sometimes it's not always about that. It's not always about timing. You're going to get times in fights. You're going to get, you know, hostility and atmospheres. But you're lucky enough to be, it's all in your favor. So I think when he fought Porter, was it in Philadelphia? I'm not sure if it was in Philly or not.
Remember, to be fair.
Or was it Thurman? Thurman. It might have been one of the two. That it was in his hometown, and I thought, come on, mate, you're in your hometown. You need to really give him something. But
I think with the Thurman fight is he was just outworked in the end.
No, 100%. That's what it was. It was less busier.
I would have said both of the fights.
He's not the cleanest. Like Thurman's not the cleanest of boxers, but he outworks his fighters to please the judges.
To the round, busier. But going back to what you said for the year, I really want to see Danny challenge for a title. The Josh Taylor is a nice little carrot dangle, but Danny Garcia is going to see it as
Josh Taylor doesn't have a fight. He doesn't have a belt at 147.
Exactly. What he's saying, why am I going to fight Josh Taylor, who's clearly a dangerous fighter, clearly loves to fight, knows how to really go to it.
I think you might be confident. I mean, they've both come up from 140, so there might be that. But I think that's for Garcia. I just think it's like you're saying, the same side of the street. I think that'll be tough. I think it'll be tough. I think for Garcia, I think I agree with what both of you say. I think he's a top fighter. When you're in the States, people rate him highly. They probably say, look, he's probably the one welterweight that could do a lot of damage. Even they were saying, like, some people were believing that he could beat Spence. I was like, I can't see it.
Who?
Some people in the States believe he could beat Spence Jr.
Who?
I'm not saying their names. We don't just snitching on this.
Not a chance.
I personally, I don't.
Posting you maybe.
Yeah.
Before?
Yeah.
No, wait.
I'm of that same type of smoke.
Ever since I saw him, like, bad up Brooke.
Yeah. Yeah, but Spencer's different level. But with Garcia, I will say this. He just starts too slowly. So I think he needs to get active from like round 1, round 2. And it's mad because you think back to the Khan fight, and everyone was like, but Khan was beating them. I remind people, look, Khan only won 2 rounds. The 3rd and the 4th round, Garcia won. That's why he won the fight.
Khan also beat Canelo, but look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. But my point is really more about with Garcia, I would say, do you know what? He's very tough. I would like to see him fight someone like your Dennis Ugas, because I think you look back to last year, Garcia didn't give us anything. He didn't give us enough. One fight in the whole of 2019. if you ask me, I'm like, you know what? You fight this Redkach. He's a slight bit of a test, but you should beat him, like you said. But I think then you go on to a UGAS. I think you're talking about then Latin America, because UGAS is from Cuba, so that's a Caribbean, but it's all that Spanish Latino rivalry. I think that'll do good numbers, and UGAS is tough. I mean, you look back to that Porter fight, he's tough, and I think he's got the height, reach, and skill on a lot of these guys. So yeah, that will be interesting to see how Garcia can pull it out.
I think it's a self-belief thing with Garcia. Can he sustain that pressure over 12 rounds? Does he believe in himself enough to get through, you know, the rocky road, the tough patches? But I just think like if there's no position better than now. 2020, you've got this massive division, opportunities, you know, are rife, and you just really got to really carry on now with the momentum you've got. Yeah, like one fight is ridiculous at that level. Like one fight in a year is
1 year,
shocking.
And early in the year, but it's like, so I mean, I know they wanted him to come out. He was supposed to fight this year and fight Spence. So the plan was actually, if Spence didn't go through the car crash, he probably would have been back February, March. That would have been announced. Maybe even between January and February, March. I know that's what they were looking at to then get the summer fight with Pacquiao. So that has affected Garcia, but that doesn't excuse why he was so inactive last year. But in terms of Redkach, I think look, he's not a weak fighter. I just think
he's got a lot to prove. I just don't want Danny to be thinking that he's gonna come and roll all over him, be up in my home city, kind of like in my own area. Because I can't lie, let's not be forgotten about what happens when fighters anticipate other fights and look ahead of their opponent. Look, we look at, my brother Joshua. We looked at that. Yeah. We look at the Gale in looking at other fighters and getting beaten up the way they do. So I just really, really hope he's the busier fighter and he's really got that hunger back to get his belts back, or get the belt, the WBC.
Why wouldn't you be hungry with all these champions?
No, of course, but sometimes money changes. He could be sitting there thinking like he's got his daughter and whatnot. You see him post his kids and family life,
grabbing up his missus.
Exactly. And sometimes for me, exactly, man, I can't complain. But sometimes, that gets a fighter complacent. Yeah. And they've been through so much hardship and now they're in the life. And sometimes you got to, that's why I remember listening to, I forgot the coach's name, but he always say he likes it when these fighters are always in camp, always focused, because they've got enough time to spend time with their family when they retire. Yeah. It's the second they spend too much time with their family that they start to decline a bit. It's that. I was Garcia, he's early 30s, late 20s?
He's early 30s.
Early 30s. Yeah, so he's looking to either wind down soon, because knowing at that weight tends to stay in the game beyond 34, 35. But
then I suppose kind of for some fighters it works.
Floyd Mayweather.
It works out well having
having
your family around you. Like with Charlo, the last fight we saw the
he said
BBC documentaries. He was living up in his house and he was going for his runs. Yeah.
I think it is subjective, because you're right. I think on the one hand, especially with that documentary, I think you had Tony Harrison, who took himself out to sort of get himself focused, which probably worked. In terms of it helped him train to his best, he trained his hardest, but then on the fight night, did that help him? And
did it psych him up too much being away from
exactly? Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it psyched him up, made him too angry.
I mean, look at Jacobs when he goes away. He goes away with his family. His boy comes every now and then to come and see him. That gives him a boost. He knows what he needs. He knows what he needs.
I mean, you could argue Joshua. I know his situation's a bit different, but he goes into camp in Sheffield, so he's
away from his kids, away from his family.
But then you look at Wilder. I just think it's subjective. I'm going to be honest.
When you've got freakish nature like Wilder, listen, that's fine. Like the guy doesn't do cardio properly. That guy he's just a freak of nature. He's very blessed. So for me, I kind of classify him in a different category.
He's not your conventional.
He's the new modern day champion, and I feel like there's going to be. So I'm not sorry to digress. But there's going to be a lot more of Wilders, a lot more in different divisions coming up with that freakish power, with that anything, because now coaches are going to be like, it doesn't matter anymore. Promoters are going to be like, it's not about how you box them more, it's how you finish.
And it's genes as well. He never seems to be out of shape. So it's like with guys worried, like even heavyweights worrying about putting up too much weight and having to come down. He's not saturating his body with fat or with these excessive things that other fighters are doing outside the camp. He's keeping
kind of living the life, isn't it?
Exactly, living in tip-top condition.
But so in terms of Redkach, I think Redkach, good fighter. He's coming out of Ukraine. I just think this is a level above, purely because you're looking at Redkach, never really fought for titles, never won a title. He's recently beaten the likes of Devin Alexander, but lost to the likes of John Molina Jr. So you're kind of saying to yourself, like Danny Garcia has to beat this guy, and I think this is where Danny Garcia's problem is going to come, because I don't think a 12-round points decision is acceptable.
It's not justified.
I think as much as you get the win and you do what it takes to win, I think he needs to stop. I think he has to stop Redkach, because I think then it sends a message, because you look at 147 again, especially, there's not so many, but there's quite a few players. You know, Jaron Ennis, who's just come in, he fought last weekend. Jaron Ennis on the Friday card of Clarissa Shields. I'm telling you, I watched this guy fight and I'm thinking, you know what? This guy is going to challenge some of the guys that are out there established.
100%, man.
I think he's going to challenge some of the established guys. And I know he's calling out Crawford. So
far-fetched.
Exactly. I agree with you, far-fetched. But my point is, he's got the confidence and belief. And sometimes we can't knock that. Do you know what I mean?
Just remember when we were ringside at York Hall and we saw Bellotti get dethroned and beaten up by that guy. Oh, my God.
It's the confidence. So like for me, I think, what we're going to do is, and guys, it's up to you. Should we do the predictions now? Actually, let's do the predictions now, because it's the one fight.
Yeah, fuck it, let's get out of the way.
And is it even going to be hard? That you said that with supreme laziness, bro. Right, let's get it out of the way, man.
We ain't going for that no underdog this week.
Yeah, no underdogs this week, innit? It's a clean sweep.
But with Garcia specifically, though, I'll be very interested to see how he knocks him out, if he does. Yeah. Because I remember listening to Tony Bellew and speaking to him, it's like, when he talks about the Eastern Europeans, he always says, look, if you knock an Eastern European out in the face, you are a puncher. If you knock him out in the body, that's standard, because the Eastern Europeans are generally very tough and durable. So I'll be interested to see if it's by a body shot, if it's by to the head, blows to the head. If it's blows to the head, we know he's game. If it's blows to the body, he's still kind of game, but there's still questions. But it's interesting. If he takes him all the way to distance,
like a little asterisk in the body, knocked out by the body, and he's been drinking alcohol.
Definitely.
Hey, Danny, mate, if you don't fucking knock him out, spark out, mate, right to the body, we're gonna have talks.
I want to make you do more of them Scouse accents, but I'm half afraid that they'll turn up at the studio.
Yeah, I don't want to Tony Bellew people coming down like
the bomber squad.
Exactly. I don't want to
go to these shows. We just about get press as it is.
Just about, you know what I mean? Like, we moved on. Like, at 2020 we leveled up, and then we're going to get a bunch of Scousers chasing us. But yeah, no, you're right. So the only other guy I would say, again, a lot of people won't know him, but I met him last year when I was in New York. A guy called Stephen Fulton Jr. goes by the name of Cool Boy Steph, featherweight, bantamweight, sorry, cool guy, very technically skilled boxer. Like he's on the money. He's fighting for his WBC title eliminator on the same card. But I know a lot of people won't be paying attention. But remember that name.
Is Neri?
You heard it here, man. You heard it here, Mr. Felton.
Yes.
Louis Neri, the champion. That Neri WBC bantamweight.
Yeah, is it Derry? Derry or Derry? Yeah. I remember.
No, it's Ubali, isn't it?
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes with the lower weights,
unfortunately, the lower weights gets these things where when it goes past bantam or feather, it's very difficult sometimes.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it's hard to keep
because you kind of categorize, because there's very few stars in that side that are being talked about. And maybe that's the thing that can change.
Is he back? No, sorry. Ubali's with MTK, isn't he?
Yeah, Ubali. Ubali. Yeah. So sorry, I got it wrong. He's feathered them because Fulton was training with Frampton. So he's been in, because when I spoke to him, I was like, "You've been UK?" He's like, "Yeah, I came over to the UK. I sparred with Frampton a lot." And then for this camp, Frampton actually went over there and sparred with him. So, and he's levels, and you can see Frampton shows him respect. So he's definitely level. So look out for that, guys. This weekend, Stephen Fulton will be on the undercard of the Danny Garcia Redkach fight. And for those of you in the UK that are listening or watching, actually, because now we're live streaming, booyah!
Yeah, man.
You can watch that fight on Box Nation. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, you can watch that fight on Box Nation. As I said a couple of weeks ago, Box Nation have now done a deal with Premier Sports, so they're going to be showing a whole lot more fighting. I think that's and I want to talk on that actually quickly. I think that's a big thing, because for me, PBC just screwed up. Whatever they're doing with ITV, it's not works. Us as boxing fans lose out. Yeah. And this Box Nation deal, I think, works perfect.
They need it.
Probably wasn't the best choice, but I think it works, because actually with Box Nation, they're not just showing PBC fights. Yeah. They're actually showing fights. Listen, if it's not televised on DAZN or Sky,
you better start getting these rights in early. Like I've been saying to you, Coach. Remember, I've been telling you, Coach, about this Amazon are coming to kill the boxing zone. They're coming to have it all there. They're coming to take it. Look at the rights to have them with the Premier League, everything. They're going to take it over.
But can they do it consistently?
100%.
That's a question. Not even a doubt.
It's not even a doubt, because Amazon have got the budget. They've got the documentaries. They've got all the kind of platforms to give. They've got the platform to give a boxer everything they need in order to gain a platform and gain the fan base and really connect with them.
And they've got that plethora of different like audiences.
You know, I'm even
entertainment.
Exactly.
What you're saying,
I'm even hearing they might even have Spence on All on. You know, the All or Nothing that they do with like the Man City. I'm hearing they've got All or Nothing for Spence.
Or Spence Jr.
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently, listen, this is just
this year on the football one. I know we don't cross sports, but on this one, they're doing their behind the scenes on Spurs.
Oh,
so it's going to contain all of the Pochettino sacking, Mourinho hiring.
Yeah, I've heard that. I'm not actually. I will be watching it, but
I'm gonna watch
shout out Arsenal, man. Shout out Arsenal playing.
Shout out Arsenal fan TV as well. Robbie Lyle. Robbie.
PT. But them men are big still troops. You don't know.
Yeah, true.
But with the Amazon, I will say this. I think it's a good look. I think, look, at the end of the day, my worry, because I consume boxing. So if you tell me, look, this guy is fighting this guy, and I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm going to pay for it, regardless of the platform. So I can't consider myself a general consumer. I just worry sometimes, will the wider consumer adopt the digital and watch their fights online and stream it, especially if it's early hours of the mornings? That's my only concern. I'm not saying they can't do it. I must be clear here. I'm not saying they can't do it. That's just my only caveat. Me, they always, if I hear Amazon are showing Spence,
of course, we can't really count ourselves as casual.
It's tough, yeah.
But we argue over stats that we're
that's
not.
That's what I'm
casual.
saying, yeah. So it's more the other thing.
Tough.
But I would like to see it, because I think what that does is, if I'm going to be honest, straight up, it puts a foot up Sky Sports' arse. Because in my opinion, Sky Sports are not doing enough for boxing.
Slacking.
Sorry, Adam Smith.
That, Sky made a deal for the Wilder Fury, and that's been rejected. So BT have got the rights for that.
BT got the rights for that. Yeah.
And I just think with that whole, there's so many diverse networks that are working in boxing nowadays. Is it going to become fragmented when you've got like the likes of Box Nation, Premier Sports, or operate? These big pay-per-view stateside.
100%.
It's us that pay the cost. To be fair, yeah, it's true.
But Comcast,
right.
The thing is, you've got to also understand, Sky is not just Sky. Sky are Comcast. Yes. Sky are everything. They're NBC. They're Good Morning America. They've got everything. So you've got to also understand that when these guys want to try and promote themselves now, and they're not giving, their partner in the UK rights to the global, they're going to say, look, we're not going to put you on our platform when you're not giving us the rights. So, and ESPN and all these like Max Kellerman and all those guys, they can only give you so much of a platform, but it's generally the Good Morning Americas and all the standards that give you they've got the rights, and they've got the platform, they've got the audience. So it's going to be interesting, but Sky really do need to, but I don't really think it's Sky's problem. I think it's more of it's Matchroom problem. Because Sky subcontracted out Matchroom over the years to be not giving them these issues.
And Sky does decide whether these events are worthy enough to be on their platform. So Matchroom really don't have any shots.
But I've always said this, though. I said this. Matchroom are very, very in bed with Sky, and that's not going anywhere because of the wider picture of the snooker, the swimming, all of that sort of stuff. It's not going anywhere. It might be reduced, and they probably might be making more of a profit due to the fact that fans are still going to put up with these kind of half-hearted shows, pay-per-view or not. I mean, Dylan White, love him to pieces, but it's going to be interesting to see how his pay-per-view numbers will kind of go post kind of decision and statement of the VADA and the UCAD kind of testing. That'll be very interesting to see how the fans go, because he was just about getting himself to a casual. But it's going to be interesting to see. Amazon, if you're listening, please hurry up with this, because we need the competition to go down, because ultimately it does bring more money into our fighters' pockets and enables us to do what we do. So
it's healthy.
Looking forward to that.
Exactly.
Looking forward to that.
So guys, listen, I know everyone's been saying, let me in.
Charles, my phone's actually blowing up.
Before we even go out to the lines, I want to say a massive big up to Daniel Appiah with his motivational videos. Because I think, like, as Raps on TV, as a brand, as guys, like, we've got lots of interest in different things in sports, but
agreed.
The campaign for mental health and for just everyone in general to be happy and their well-being, it's got to be promoted. And I think Daniel, Mr. Appiah, big up yourself for your.
And to be fair, I know Tom even schools me, because Tom is big on the mental health awareness.
Massive on it,
he's massive on it, which I totally understand. But I do agree with you on that, number one. But number two, I think also the videos that he's making, and it's motivational speaking. But I would say to people, listen, check it out, because he's got his YouTube. I'll ask him to give his YouTube channel, but it's a couple of minutes, and sometimes it's on different topics. And actually, he listened to one the other day, and I listened to one, and he was talking about, you don't need a pat on your back all the time. Just get on and graft in.
Trust.
I'm that kind of
That's
person.
such an Appian thing to say.
But I don't like pats on the back, and I
don't like it.
Like, I just get on and do what I'm doing, just kind of thing.
As a young, like, naive person that I am,
very
like,
naive, Tom.
very naive. But no, God's honest truth. Like, I've gone through things where, like, I've looked at Daniel's thing and I've seen, like, you know, he can really pick you up and push you, because at the end of the day, if there's anyone out there that's going through something, any bad thoughts, override the wave. There's people there for you, to support you, and you know, you'll get through it. Like, you know, there's a lot of different people out there with different, you know, mind processes and thoughts, and they all want the best for it.
No,
definitely,
100%, man.
And if it helps you, just come on the show and talk about boxing, and it's very therapeutic.
No, 100.
You can let your anger out at Wilder. You get
get a bit of this liqueur.
That's. I was gonna say he's been on holiday, so you can see.
Just coke.
Yeah, careful on that one. But guys, listen, we're going out to the lines.
Open the lines up.
Uncle Benga, it's your time now.
Yes.
How you doing, sir?
Let's go, champ.
Hey, hi guys.
How you doing?
Nice. Yeah, good guys.
Listen, let's give him 4 rounds. Yeah.
I want to.
Go.
I want to make a quick reference to J-Rock's loss in the 5th round.
Yes.
When I saw that on the internet, because I didn't watch it live the next day, it struck me that the guy, I think it was from the Dominican Republic, Roserio, he just seemed so much physically stronger than J-Rock. And, you know, you've got to be careful when you face some of those guys from the Latin countries.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you don't know a lot about them, but, you know, some of those guys are really big punchers. One of you said he looked like a middleweight.
Yes.
I would go further and say, to be honest with you, I was watching it with my brother, and he thought, oh, wow. He was saying that the guy looked like a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
They're big bones.
But there was a size difference, though. You could see it.
Yeah, I mean, let's go. I love J-Rock. I think he's a really good fighter, but he manhandled it.
100%.
You know?
No,
100%. I mean, in your opinion, go ahead, Uncle.
Sorry.
I was just going to ask you in terms of the rematch, but yeah, I'll say what you wanted and then just let us know about.
I don't think when you look at the way that fight went, I don't think there's some fights. I think a rematch is a good idea. I'm not sure it's in J-Rock's interest to have an immediate rematch. Let's just put it that way. And the thing about that division is it's a very competitive division because they've all, if you think about it, they've all been beaten, all the top guys. It's like a merry-go-round. They keep losing the title.
This is it.
Charlo's, I mean, I like Harrison. I think Harrison's a really good boxer. You know?
He is.
Yeah, J-Rock is a good fighter. He's a Philadelphia fighter. You know, I think Harrison is a Detroit fighter. You know, they're well-schooled guys, but you know, it's tough and competitive.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Now, Danny Garcia is one of my favorites. I have to say,
it's one of your favorites.
Yes. One. I have a very interesting history with Danny Garcia. You know, when I had a guy in the 140-pound division, he became mandatory for the title, but he couldn't get a title shot for. And then Danny beat Morales, which really should have been our shot. Okay. But Golden Boy wouldn't give us a fight. And eventually put Lucas Matisse before us, and which I have to confess, years afterwards, I didn't want that fight, but we couldn't get out of it. And preparation was not ideal, but I don't like making excuses in boxing. But Danny Garcia was the guy I studied. I even saw him coming up. He beat English guy.
Ashley Theophane.
Ashley Theophane, who's a really nice guy. He's actually improved as a boxer. Really good guy. which was a bit of a disputable fight. But Danny's one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know, you look at him and you think he's beatable. Then you get in there with him and he's much better than people think.
That's true.
I saw him beat guys like Kendall Holtz on the way up and stuff like that. I think he's a really, really good fighter. I think arguably Danny Garcia is an unbeaten fighter because I personally don't think Sean Porter or what's his name?
Thurman. You don't think he lost?
Thurman won. No, I don't. But the thing is, Danny can sometimes start off slow.
Yes.
But I don't think they won the fight. You noticed in that fight, after a while, Thurman had to go on
the back
on
foot.
his back foot.
Yeah.
And even Porter had to start using his mobility because once Danny gets warmed up, you don't want to be in the pocket with him, which is what would have made the fight between another of my favorites, Spence Jr. and Garcia, an interesting fight. It was one I was looking forward to. And he's got a beautiful left hook, Danny Garcia.
Yeah, it's true.
The left is powerful.
I thought that Philadelphia left hook. Oh, baby.
Right on the right on the button.
Right on the money.
Assassinated American. Oh, baby.
So Uncle is
one other thing with Josh, you mentioned, I can't resist, you mentioned Amir Khan and Kell Brook. Kell Brook should just get over the fact that Amir Khan is afraid to fight him. It's not going to happen. You know, I'm sorry. I don't like to say this, but I think basically Khan is a punk. I don't respect him.
Tell him, champ.
Say how you feel.
These are your words, not mine.
Say how you feel.
Look, you know, if Khan wants to come to my door, I'll meet him head on.
Give him a slap.
I like that. Tom's got a question for you.
You know, can you remember what he said about AJ? Going on the airwaves and
see, I told you, us Nigerians are hurt.
Yeah, you Nigerians took that personal, man.
Oh God!
So you did that? Nigerian took it personal. So
AJ had never even met his wife. At least if you're going to accuse me of something, at least let it be something I've done.
Well, I've been in the same circles, yeah.
Uncle is
and finally, guys, I saw you made a reference to Layla Ali and
Shields.
Layla Ali and Shields. Now I like both girls. You get my meaning.
Yeah. You like the clean cut ones, yeah?
I hope my wife's not listening to this.
No. We hope she's not either.
Oh, sorry, Uncle, but I think I've got a little bit of.
I mean, when I was single, it's obviously be Layla Ali.
Yeah.
No, but they're both good. I mean, I think they've both done a lot for women's boxing.
100%.
On a serious note, and I don't think they should be having a spat, really.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand the verbal, but don't bring it to the ring. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a chest up, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked when I read some of the stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, every fighter should think they're the best in the world, or
agreed.
I mean, women's boxing hasn't got the depth.
No.
Yeah.
So really, we want them to fight, promote the sport, and create the depth that you have in men's boxing, but not having silly
fighting old legends,
silly spats. And what's all this stuff about everybody going crazy about Conor McGregor having because he won in 40 seconds? My
good.
I mean, why doesn't he rematch Khabib?
Yes, get in there, Uncle. You found me out now.
You're making Tom sweat.
When he and Khabib fought, he was pleading for his life.
He got choked
I remember.
out. He was tapping like a pussy.
He was. At least he's being honest.
What did Floyd say? What did Floyd say? Real killers don't tap out.
They don't. But you know what, Uncle? That's the reality of the fight game. You're gonna get people that are just as you say, overbearing and overpowering. So
yeah, no. I'm not. But I mean,
So
I don't know. I mean, I think. I mean, I'm not like Sam. I'm not an expert in MMA.
Yeah.
So,
Me?
you know, I mean,
It's questionable,
but
but
there's some good characters in MMA from what I've seen.
yeah,
I'm so glad that the Covington got his ass kicked by my countryman Kamaru.
Kamaru Usman, the assassinator.
Yeah, that guy's deadly.
He's a deadly man.
So listen,
I noticed the Trump family were not tweeting when he got done, were they?
nope, they're nowhere to be seen. So listen, Uncle, thank you very much for the call. We're going to move on to the next caller. But I appreciate the support as always, man. Good speaking with you.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Okay,
See you soon.
okay, and I'm sure my friend Don Charles is listening, and when you guys are ready,
We're ready.
No, we're ready,
I spoke to Sammy. I've given him the date, so we're ready to get that in.
Okay,
Look
excellent.
forward to seeing you guys.
We'll be there.
Perfect.
Yes.
Look forward to
Okay.
it. Take care.
Nice one, buddy.
All right. So going to 426. 426, is that a new caller? Hello?
Yes, hello, it is.
Yes.
I know Tom quite well. It's Lee, Tom. How you doing?
Oh, how's things? You all right, buddy?
Yes, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Now, do you know what, Lee? Give him his props.
Yeah.
He's a big boxing fan. So,
Yeah, good,
Lee,
good. Thank you
speak
for
your
calling
mind,
in.
buddy.
Say what's
your
on your
mind.
mind, bro. Come at me.
I don't think I'm a big fan like you are, but I'll give you a praise. Listen, I've been hearing from the start, and for you lot to mention the UFC, you know, with McGregor coming back, you know, it was a strong performance, and you know, the big fights are out there in the boxing world, the Manny Pacquiao's, the Floyd Mayweathers.
100%.
Would you want to see McGregor back in the ring again?
I'll let you answer that.
Coach, you go for this.
Coach,
Would you
I'll
want
let
to
you
see
answer
that?
that.
Well, they're putting me on Lee's Kojo. They're putting me on the hot spot. I mean, look, do you know what? I will say this. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't really want to see him in a boxing match because I just think no matter what, like they're two different sports. And as much as there's a little bit of a crossover, I think if you're a professional boxer, I don't think anyone can come in from another, like even if it's a combat like an MMA and compete at a high level. And, you know, McGregor's not talking about your run-of-the-mill fighters. He's talking about the high guys. What I would like, though, is maybe just switch it up a bit. So if he fought Mayweather or Pacquiao, let them fight at a limit of 150, 147, and he comes in at 170. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think if they're both at 150 or 147, to me, that's not even. Do you know?
No.
Yeah, I just don't see that as being even. And look, I'll definitely watch it because you know there'll be a hype around it. But I don't think, Pacquiao especially. I hope Pacquiao doesn't do it because he's got a title. Yeah. But who would you like to see him fight?
He keeps mentioning his name though. You know,
I
you've got the boxers out there. You know, the big fight. But McGregor's in everyone's names. You know, they're in their voices and. They want the fight because he's the money fight.
There's no
denying that. I wouldn't be surprised if Pacquiao wanted to take it.
He does. He wants to pay off that tax bill, man.
He needs to pay off that tax.
Tax bill.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on the
building.
And I just want to go on that point, Lee, and I'll let Tom ask you a question. You are right because when you think about it, it's actually quite deep. This guy, UFC, even Mayweather can't say that he's the money man when it comes to McGregor because Mayweather made one of his biggest purses against McGregor. Yeah. And it was because everybody just bought into that. Will he won't, you know, will he do it? He won't do it. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think Pacquiao's looking at a big payday. Khan probably would look at it as a big payday. You know, look, if you heard McGregor was fighting Canelo tomorrow, how would you feel?
You know what? I'll be scared for McGregor. Let's be saying that. You know, Canelo is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in my opinion. He's beat them all, you know. Exactly. He's beat them all, and he does it convincingly. The only loss he's got is Mayweather. And
there's no shame in that.
For him to go out and do what he's done in different weight categories, you know, it's not just in the same. You know what he's done in the who did he fight last fight?
Kovalev.
And he knocked him out.
Yep.
That was
2 weight classes up, and he knocked him out. Sparko.
Yep.
To do that was pretty impressive. So.
And don't forget the Jacobs fight. What about the Jacobs performance? It was points, but he schooled
fluidity
Jacobs.
And just everything about it was just unreal.
Big time.
Jacobs durable, man. Jacobs is up for it. He's up there with the best.
Yeah, man. And so I agree with you on the Canelo. But
yeah, literally just
as well as all of that. I just want to mention we haven't mentioned the YouTubers. You know,
KSI,
the boxing next week we've got on the I think it's the Thursday. We've got 5 title fights, but on the undercard we've got Jake Paul versus an insult Gibb. What's your thoughts on YouTubers coming in? Because
let me answer that, bro.
November, KSI versus Logan Paul. The numbers don't lie, and for them to not have experience, you can't. That was a great fight. You can't sit there and say it wasn't a good fight. I know there was controversy over it and whatever, but YouTubers seeing the boxing is coming up. What's your thoughts on all of that on the undercard?
Lee, great question. First of all, thanks for calling in, but. Listen, we're a boxing channel. We don't talk about YouTube and them things there, yeah?
He says, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to disagree with him. But one at a time.
I appreciate YouTubers. I really appreciate what they're doing for the sport, and they're putting so many casual fans onto the sport. I remember watching the Logan Paul KSI fight before bro, the morning of the marathon, I was watching it. The morning of the second one, the morning of the marathon, I was watching it.
Come on, bro.
Great fight, really dramatic. But at the same time, you've got to look at it as, look, you're a good supplement to an undercard full of professional boxers because you add more to the sport as a greater good. Like Mr. What's his name? His manager, okay, we was arguing about it.
Mr.
Amu. Shout out to him, by the way. We were talking about it. And I understood his point, but I was saying that, look, all we needed one YouTube boxer kind of being the co-main event with a big undercard, packed out undercard, and then we're doing our numbers.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when the whole show does the numbers, all the boxers get paid and they're able to get the training and what they need to go along for the greater good of the sport.
Yeah.
It's when we see the YouTubers profiting off of the slavery of our boxing and the sport we love is when I don't really agree with it as much. Yeah. And they're not putting the regular boxing fans on. So I think there's a fine line between it, and they are doing great numbers. But like I said, a casual fan would want to see proper boxing. I don't know about you.
I mean, it's a great question. And I think as well, the fact that we're touching on the casual side of things, the casual market has got to be touched on. Because, I mean, like, even similar to like the way these guys on the small hall scene, they're building up their profile with wins over, mediocre opposition. They're building a profile. These guys that are YouTubers, they've had to start from scratch as well. Don't take it there. You got to understand that they've had to build their reputation from start, and they've got to their audiences and what they've managed to collect over the years. So you've got to, if they want to fight, and it like the last fight with KSI Logan Paul, it was under conventional rules, then you've got to respect that. But I understand where Sam's coming from. It's not the
of course
the
not.
Hardcore.
Like I said, I respect anyone who puts gloves and goes in the ring, because you're putting your life at risk.
100%.
For these YouTubers to train like a boxer, to go out to different countries and train and give it their all for 4 months, and then go in the ring and perform. It's got to give respect. You got to give even Eddie Hearn, one of the biggest names in the game.
Yeah.
To even put that as a main event, put Billy Joe Saunders on the undercard,
and Devin Haney.
You know what? He did it though.
And David Haney and all of them.
And I just want to say, my point is, I'm not saying I'm here saying, oh, give me another YouTube fight. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember. It's like there was a program animation called Celebrity Deathmatch. So it's all kind of like plasticine animated, and you'd get certain celebrities fighting each other. So it was totally fake. Whereas with this, I think there will be an industry of it. I'm not surprised. I'll be honest. I just don't know who the Anderson guy is, or Al Eason. I don't know who he is.
He's big.
He's big, yeah.
He's had 2 fights. He's had one on the KSI and Joe Weller, which all started it all.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And he won that convincingly. It wasn't really a fair fight. The guy was a bit smaller. He literally hit him and the guy fell over. He wasn't really there. But then he fought on the KSI Logan first fight, and he was really good. He was putting the pressure on. He goes to the body, works to the top. He's not just one of them just swing haymakers like KSI did. And next week, the casual fans and the real fans, they'll be really surprised to watch these 2 YouTubers. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be fight of the night.
Yeah,
I've got a funny feeling it's going to be fight of the night.
I mean, if that happens, Demetrius Andrade needs to call it quits, and because he's a world champion, he's getting outperformed by YouTubers. But I guess the bottom line, what I will say is that, look, boxing needs to elevate to different levels, and I think one of those levels is having YouTubers potentially come in and get involved. I think the key thing is, and like one of our guests once said, I think if they're constantly headlining, I do think that's wrong, because then you're promoting these guys who haven't put the hours into the craft. However, I think how they've done this fight, it seems like they've just put them on the undercard, and I think that also works because then it's a business thing. So it's a fine line. I think that's what's going to be the issue. You're not going to make people happy. You're going to get the old school guys are going to be like, nah, don't want anything to do with it. I'm a bit more modern, and I think, listen, anything that brings new eyeballs to boxing, I think it helps us. We're sitting in the studio talking about boxing. We probably won't talk about this fight next week, but at the same time,
maybe touch on it.
We might touch on it, exactly, but at the same time, somebody will. And I guarantee you that probably IFL and all those guys are going to be going out there. But what I will say, and this is what I would say, just to flip it a little bit and a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke. I think what we need to do is get boxing YouTube channels having white-collar boxing fights. So, and I've got one for you: Quigg Cassius versus Rob Tebbett. I know those guys get on and they're great friends, but you're talking about number one. You're talking the top two.
Coogan's got that.
Oh, I don't know, mate.
Is that still a waste?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. Rob might get inside that reach and just come in with an uppercut. But listen, they're the two big boxing channels at the moment that are out there going to all the shows. So I think that will be fun. But yeah, outside of that, we just got to see what happens. But I guess I'm going to ask you though, Lee, who wins on this Jake Paul Anderson Gibb?
I don't know. See, with this whole fight, Jake Paul has got the most pressure. The reason why he's got the most pressure because he just watched his brother lose, and he's got and Anderson Gibb's got nothing to lose. He's going into that fight as the smaller person, the bigger person. But with Jake Paul, he's got the reach, he's got the height, and Jake Paul's got nothing. Jake Paul's got all of it. If Jake Paul loses, the internet's a cruel place, and he's going to be the biggest meme throughout the whole year, and he knows this. But if he wins, then it sets up perfectly for KSI versus Jake Paul, and that then will become one of the biggest YouTube fights in history.
All time.
If I had to put it on, if I had a £10, I would say Anderson Gibb.
Okay.
I think Anderson Gibb is just going to go for him, try and take his head off, and I'm going to predict Anderson Gibb in the 4th round KO.
All right, no, nice.
That's what I'm going to say.
We're going to make a note of that, even though we're not previewing the fight. But listen, I will say, Lee, thank you very much for calling in. We welcome new callers. Any opinion is there's no right or wrong. Any opinion is valid. So please continue to call in, even if it is for the big fights, your Wilders, your food, Josh. We'd love to hear your opinion, your thoughts. And thank you very much for those questions.
Cheers, buddy.
Yes, Lee.
No
take
worries.
care,
Take
buddy.
care. Have
Cheers,
a lovely afternoon. Take care.
Yeah, cheers. Take care. Yeah.
Do you know what that adds on as well? Yeah, it just kind of says like, when are we getting this EA Sports game, man?
Yeah.
When are we getting the EA Sports game? Because
next caller, let's go and we'll do that next. 985, Mr. Appia.
Oh yeah.
How you doing?
How you doing, mate? You all right? We're doing good. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, fellas.
Big up yourself, Dan.
Listen, just want to big you all up. Thanks for bigging me up.
No worries.
Like, I'm rating my YouTube channel a little bit.
Make sure you go subscribe to that Daniel Appia on YouTube. Make sure you go click the like and subscribe button now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
What's on your mind, bro?
You're talking about Danny Garcia, right? He is a good fighter, but I just think he's just a little bit short when it comes to the top of that division, which is stacked, as you know, with fucking quality. I just think he's a little bit short when he comes up against the likes of hopefully a fit Spence and obviously a Porter, Berman. Pacquiao, he loses to these guys, sweet fighter, but he loses to all these guys. I think
Porter,
just falls a little bit short, when it comes to them guys. That's my opinion on him.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. So just gonna ask, get your thoughts. This weekend we got Danny Garcia versus Redkach.
You know what? Danny Garcia should obviously win that fight, but he's got to go into that fight like he's got to be that is in front of him. No thinking about what's after that. He's got to go in there and he's got to take this opponent seriously, and do a job and do a proper job, and then see what happens in the future and prove me what's wrong and prove he really can hang with
with the top guys in that division. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a win for him over the weekend.
Perfect. What's anything else on your mind, mate?
Well, I was gonna ask something. Chris Eubank Jr. What's happening with him?
Yeah, good question.
Wasn't he supposed to have a fight? I know
Well,
he
he had Korobov. So I don't know if there's a rematch. So he beat Korobov to win the WBA.
That was controversial.
That was because he got the shoulder injury. Daniel, it's only because of your background noise, mate. But yeah, so you're still there, Daniel. I'm just muting you because of your background noise. But yeah, Eubank fought Korobov, won. Yeah, he's got a big 2020.
He has to have a big 2020, bro. Do you know what I really want to see him? I want to see him align himself to a single promoter. I want to see him say, look, PBC, we're with you for the year.
Yeah.
Show me what you can do. Get me the titles, because I don't want to hear the IBO this. I like Chris. I know the family quite well. I want to see Chris in the glory. I want to see him in the shining, because otherwise it just makes Eddie Hearn look so right for saying, look, I would have made him millions. I would have done this. I would have done that. And
is he with Al Heyman?
You know,
he
is with Al Heyman now. He was with this other Richard guy with ITV. Richard Foxon. Foxon, sorry. I just really want to see him align with someone, maybe align with a governing body and get a real title shot, man. Because end of the day, James DeGale was your biggest win, and everyone knows that wasn't the James DeGale that fought Badou Jack. Like, that wasn't the same James DeGale that fought Butte. Like, that was a different James DeGale, and you know, you're proving yourself and you're making a lot of money and you've done that, and we just need you to solidify the Eubank legacy and go on, so then we can see the Harlems and all that come through.
What I like the most about Eubank is the fact that he's stepped away from that Billy Joe Saunders that talk. You know, he needs to now, like you said, kick on, have fights. You know, there's big fights in that stable, the likes of Benavidez, Durrell. Like even a win over Anthony Durrell. Yeah, it's a great win. That's a great win to really catapult himself up to that world title. He needs it. He needs a world title shot.
Yeah. So there you go, Daniel. What do you think about the guys' comments?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big 2020 for him. Like, we've got to see like a little bit. It's got to be a big year for him. We've got to see a little bit more of him. You know, he's got to be in his 30s now, and he's got to be 30 now.
He is.
Yeah, he's coming on.
So let's see him in some big fights. You know, let's see what he's really made of.
Yeah.
And
we'll go from there. So listen, Dan.
See what happens.
Thank you very much, man. I know you're on the move, man, but I appreciate the support as always. Before we go, bro, just shout out your YouTube channel so we get that right.
And any messages of the day?
Yeah.
Well, Instagram is Daniel Appiah 38. YouTube channel Daniel Appiah, I'm a motivational speaker. Listen, just listen to it. It's a pickup. It's the best motivation in the world. I'm telling you.
From the heart. From the heart.
And you'll just get you'll get lifted, mate. You get lifted.
I like that.
If you're on your ass, whatever.
Like Tyson Fury, the evangelical spirit.
Trust me.
Yeah, respect for that, Daniel. Keep up the good work. We're all tuned in. Thanks for the support as always.
Nice one.
Take care, Dan.
Nice one. It's 446, last caller of the day. 446, hello.
Yes, guys. You said that very good, because you're
yes, long time in Nam. Yes, what's going on?
Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, man. So I was feeling a bit down there, man. I was feeling a bit down, but then I heard Daniel Appiah on the phone, bro.
Yes.
And he lifted me up, man.
There you go.
I have to say, he's an exceptional motivational speaker, man.
Yeah.
You know, when I heard some of his first speeches, I'm telling you, he's sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to go so I'll talk about one of the first subjects you guys talked about, Khan v. Brook.
Yes.
I just feel Brook is a bit obsessed with Khan, man, you know. Even when he first won the title, right, when he fought Sean Porter, the first thing he brought up was Khan, right? First thing. The guy that starts dissing the guy on live TV, right? And he's constantly being rude to Khan and his family, etc. And then he expects a payday from the guy, yeah? And I think that's what it is. I think Khan's just like, look, man, you disrespected my whole career, and you're going to payday off me, right? The other thing as well, from Khan's perspective, he's sitting there thinking, look, he's taking a lot of risk. He went out to America. He fought a lot of hard fights. He fought, and he's sitting there thinking, who is this guy, right? He just fights weak opponent after weak opponent after weak opponent. And he just wants a big payday. Yeah. So, I mean, and Khan has said that. You know, he said that a few times, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, right at this stage, I think it's a shit fight. I mean, they're both shot.
Yeah.
I think Khan is probably a bit more shot than Brook, you know. If the fight happens, I just don't know how it's going. I mean, the Crawford performance was terrible from Khan. So I don't think anyone's. I mean, I particularly won't be interested in seeing that fight.
Yeah.
And
I think just on that, I just wanted to come back on that though, because what you mentioned there about Brook, I think it is key for people to bear in mind that as much as Khan gets a lot of stick, and we know why, because he's his own worst enemy. Let's be honest. If there's any boxer that's their own worst enemy, it's probably Khan. But actually, Brook's not done anything in his walk of life. Even if you're talking about his losses, like Canelo's his biggest loss is Triple G, then Spence Jr.
Yeah. But people are gonna still say he quit and all this.
Oh yeah, there you go. So I think I think you could make some valid points. I just think those two, they just need to get it over and done with. But I think it's going back to, like I said, that Hatton and Junior Whitten. That's the key. That's the example. These two is about the payday. So yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Then touching base with Julian Williams, I was really glad about his loss. I'm a big fan of Julian Williams, and especially after he lost to the older Charlo.
Yes.
By
knockout as well, man.
That was a mad knockout, man.
Yeah.
I think that really did affect him, and it took him a long time to come back. And you can see when he beat Jarrett Hurd to win the title how much he meant to him.
Yeah.
It was in tears. That being said, I mean, I think he probably has got a bit of a weak chin because it's the second time he's been stopped. Yeah. Rosario did look a big guy, and following from one of your callers, I think his Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
I just don't see what he's going to do different in a rematch. I mean, he was comprehensively battered. So I don't know if he was.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean,
he was battered, man.
Yeah, I wasn't. We kind of said it earlier. It's like, does anybody want to see that? I know he's going to invoke the rematch, but he was beaten up, and I thought he came in there like a middleweight. Uncle Ben was saying like light heavyweight. So how do you negate that in a rematch?
I think a sick fight would actually be heard with Rosario. That would be a good fight, man, because those two styles will come together
at 154 or 185.
154. I mean, they're both big, man. I mean, Hurd could easily be a middleweight,
easy.
And Hurd they sort of won his fight on the side of his side. So look at any of his fights when they put Austin Trout or whoever, he gets outboxed easily, man. It's just his size just overwhelms people.
Yeah, Lara.
And my final point is about McGregor. I don't want to see this guy back in boxing. People forget what he's about. He beat up an old man in a pub. Yeah, he's got rape allegations against him.
Well, that old man's still got a lot.
Allegedly, though. Allegedly,
yeah. Anyway, it was not allegedly. It's the way he sort of like handled Khabib in a press conference, disrespecting the man's wife, race, religion, and then he got battered, didn't it? I mean, he got his just deserves. He got absolutely what he deserved.
He got sound like you enjoyed that.
Khabib, oh my God, man! I watch you every few weeks. I watch it, man. You know what I mean? So like, when they said to Conor, I was like, "Come on, man, talk now, innit? Talk now."
You remember Slap?
That's what it was like. It's business, is business. So the guys, I mean, the greatest fans, they're like proper fanboys, man. That's what you call fanboys, like beta males, So anyway, I don't want to see this guy back in boxing, man. I just think it's just, it might bring a lot of publicity, but look, if you're a true boxing fan, the guy's not going to be boxing, is he? Let's be honest, Someone like Pacquiao would damage him, I reckon.
So as well.
Canelo, there's no point talking about Canelo. Canelo would absolutely murder him, right? Maybe it's a safe fight for him, because maybe he's been out of the ring for a long time, and maybe as much as he hurt him, I think maybe it could hurt him a lot more if you put it on him. But someone like Pacquiao, right, would really do damage because that's his style.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to say, you guys, of course, man, the site, it's looking very, very slick, man.
Thank you very much.
I hope it all goes really well. And thank you for the time.
Last one before you go. Just a quick question: Danny Garcia versus Redkach. Any thoughts on that fight?
I think Danny Garcia probably wins it. Probably wins it by knockout. I think like what people talk about his style. Danny Garcia is very, very slow-footed. He's got very bad feet, I think. I don't think he's a slick boxer. What he's very good is very, very brilliant with his timing, and he's a counter puncher. That's how he knocked us out of Amir Khan. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a bit of a slow fight. I think he's going to fight on the back foot like he usually does, fight on the counter punch, and he's either I think he's probably knock this guy out. I think late. 8-9 rounds.
And now
Redkach is coming up from 140 pounds as well, isn't he?
Yeah, 140.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be. I mean, I wouldn't say a test, but it's I suppose a benchmark for Garcia to use now and then. Well, who would you like to see him fight, Garcia? If you say 2 fights for 2020 after he comes through Saturday, 147, who do you think is ideal?
The fights I'd really like to see him. I mean, I think Spencer's a good fight. I think that would be a good fight for him. Although I think Garcia's like kind of at the tail end of his career. I think there's probably another 2 fights I think would be really, irrespective of promotions and politics and stuff like that, right? I think the Josh Taylor fight would be brilliant. Like, that'd be a really good fight. And I think another great fight would actually be Terence Crawford v Garcia. That I think would be.
And they won a piece, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think they faced each other in amateurs and they beat each other. So it's one a piece. Yeah. So
those, that's what I'd like to see from Danny Garcia for his last 2 fights.
Cheers, man. Listen, Nam, thanks for calling in as usual. Appreciate the support and hope to hear from you again soon.
Cheers, mate. Say hello to the family.
Cheers. Take care. Cheers. Thank you again.
Cheers.
So yeah, good couple of calls, man. I mean, variety from
man.
Do you know what? Like, I was surprised with the whole. Sorry,
I was like, who's speaking here?
Go on.
Yeah,
I'm saying that it just needs to bring back the EA Sports, man. I think this game that's the next thing for this game, and I'm actually gonna put it in the Facebook group now. And if you're looking in, I'm gonna be like, how many of you guys would actually buy EA Sports Fight Night with the new modern day fighters and whatnot with the Logan Pauls and that? Because I think this is a good market.
And mate, clip that and put that on Instagram, and we'll get the comments going,
man. Let's do this because we need to get put the pressure on the lads of Eddie who wants to get the promotional. Do you know what? I reckon that's what's stopping it. I reckon Eddie's fast. Eddie's trying to get a quick deal from EA.
I think he'll want it because he would be probably the only promoter that would be in it.
Nah, Frank Warren.
Frank Warren's not going to be in EA Sports,
Frank Warren.
Bruv.
And you know what they'll do? They'll do like a little career mode. They'll do promoter mode.
No, you're dreaming.
They'll do all of that. No, that's what I want to see. No, but that's what I want to see.
Oh, you want to see that?
I want to see that.
But I think and I get what you're saying, but I think actually Eddie Hearn would be in it. He's the only guy. Maybe the thing is with De La Hoya, there'll probably be a cheat mode where you put him in fish stockings and like fish nets.
But I want to see like you see like this Football Manager. I want to see I want to see like a promoter manager mode, like and balance.
Eddie Hearn's the one guy that you could probably say out of all, because you know the way these games evolve now. He's the one guy that they could say, look,
electronic art sports are venturing out. Look, like take it back to football now. Look at they're bringing Arsenal fan TV guys on the cover on part of FIFA Street.
Yeah, because he's in Troops. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So why can't they do that with boxing, man?
But equally, I think you know what, the virtual reality industry. I think that's going to take over with the boxing.
Yeah, that's actually a good look because we meet some guys. But you got the Wii. But we went to this event in Birmingham.
What's the name? Arcade.
Yeah, talk about it quickly.
So they basically have this game where you have your virtual reality equipment, etc. Put all your gear on, and you're literally just there holding like a
remote control,
like a
right?
Stick, like a whatever gear stick or whatever, and you're actually punching. Like you see, obviously the opponent in the screen.
In your so you know you wear the goggles, the VR goggles.
Yeah, I know.
And you're punching.
Hey, do you know what? Let's sign the promotional rights for that.
Joe, it's embarrassing if you get knocked out.
Kojo's Fight Night. Kojo's Fight Night. Sponsored by Raps on TV.
Buy us out for that, man.
So listen, guys, it's been a pleasure. Great show as usual. This weekend, like I said, make sure you check out Danny Garcia versus Redkach and the Stephen Fulton fight over on Box Nation. But from my point of view, been a great show. Really enjoyed the topics. One new caller. Starting to divulge into McGregor and the YouTubers. But that's it. We're here for everyone. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got a voice on this format. But I just want to say before we go, big up Sam, big up Tom. Yes. Good to have you guys again. Let's just keep doing this rolling consistently. And
big up yourself.
I always big up myself though, right? You know what I mean? And Raps on TV. Before I go, actually big up my boy. If you can see him, he's got Marco Diego. He donated the hat to the show. So if you're looking for caps, go out there, Marco Diego on Facebook. Any other hat, jumpers, sponsors want to throw us some clothes, Box Raw, do the thing, man. Under Armour, Box Raw, do the thing. But guys, we're rolling out. It's going to be Raps on TV on all of your social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. The live show will be on air tomorrow. It's going to finish the stream very, very shortly. And for all of the callers, all the listeners, we love you and we're out.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready here. He's taken another one and another, and Howard Foster has stopped it. Wow, that is going to be controversial.
That's a crunching right hand, and that must finish it. It must finish it.
Taylor trying to catch himself, using his jab, eats a right hand.